The book of Exodus, the birth and adoption of Moses. The descendants of Jacob, called Israelites, lived for many years in the land of Goshen, the land given to Joseph for his family to dwell in Egypt. A new Pharaoh came to power that did not know Joseph or his large family, so he made them all work as slaves. That Pharaoh did not want the descendants of Israel to keep growing, so he ordered that any new baby boy should be thrown in the Nile River. However, a mother named Jochebed came up with a plan to save her baby boy. Her husband, Amram, was the great-grandson of Jacob and the grandson of Levi. Jochebed put her baby in a papyrus basket like a little ark and placed it among the reeds on the riverbank. Her daughter, Miriam, the baby's sister, followed the basket and watched as the daughter of Pharaoh found the basket floating in the water. Pharaoh's daughter knew that the baby was one of the Israelites' children, but she wanted to adopt him. Miriam stepped forward and offered to find a woman to take care of the baby until he was older and could be returned to the Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses, which means, I drew him out of water. Jochebed raised Moses until he was ready to live in Pharaoh's house. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's household as Egyptian royalty. He knew about the harsh treatment of the Israelite slaves and once saw an Egyptian master beating a slave. Moses wanted to save the slave, so he killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. Fearing the anger of Pharaoh, Moses ran away from Egypt and stayed in the land of Midian. There, he married a woman named Zipporah, daughter of a man named Jethro. Moses lived with Jethro and his family for about 40 years and helped them tend their flocks of sheep. While Moses was tending flocks on Mount Horeb, also called Mount Sinai, he came upon a bush that was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. God called Moses from the bush, saying, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. God told Moses that he had heard the cries of the Israelites in Egypt. He remembered his covenant and told Moses that he would lead the Israelites out of Egypt into a land flowing with milk and honey. God chose Moses to be the one to lead them out of slavery in Egypt. But Moses asked God, what if the Israelites don't believe that I should be their leader? God replied, tell them that the God of your fathers has sent you, and I am who am. Moses felt afraid that no one would believe him. Like shepherds in his day, Moses carried a long, sturdy wooden rod or staff. God told Moses to throw his staff on the ground, where it changed into a snake. Then Moses touched it, turned it into a staff again. He was to use this miraculous sign when he went to Pharaoh. Moses was also afraid to speak, so God chose his brother Aaron to go with him. Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, the God of Israel says to let the people go for 3 days' journey into the desert to offer sacrifice to the Lord. Now Pharaoh's heart was hard, so instead of letting them go, he gave the Israelites even more work. Now you shall have to make the same number of bricks, but you'll have to gather your own straw, ordered the Pharaoh. Soon Moses and Aaron returned to Pharaoh to ask again and to show him a sign from God. Aaron threw his staff down, and it changed into a snake. Pharaoh's magicians responded by throwing their own staffs down, and each was also changed into a snake. But Aaron's snake swallowed their snakes. Still, Pharaoh remained stubborn, just as God told Moses. Since Pharaoh's heart was so hard, and he would not listen to God, God sent 10 plagues upon Egypt. The first plague was water turned to blood. The Egyptian magicians did the same, so Pharaoh would not listen to Moses and Aaron. The second plague was frogs. The Egyptian magicians made frogs appear too. Pharaoh told Moses that if God took the frogs away, then he would let the people go. When God took the frogs away, Pharaoh changed his mind and would not let the Israelites go. The third plague was gnats. The fourth plague was flies. The fifth plague was pestilence, which made all of the Egyptians' animals sick. The sixth plague was boils, which caused sores on the Egyptians' skin. The seventh plague was hail, that destroyed many crops. The eighth plague was locusts, that ate what crops were left. The ninth plague was 3 days of darkness. Through each of these signs from God, Pharaoh remained stubborn and would not let the Israelites go. The Passover. God brought one more plague upon the Egyptians, the 10th plague. which caused death to all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. God told the Israelites that they would be saved if they sacrificed a lamb and used its blood to mark their doorposts and lintels. God also instructed the Israelites to ask their Egyptian neighbors for silver and gold, which they did. For their meal that evening, they should eat lamb with unleavened bread and bitter herbs while being ready to leave Egypt quickly. This was the first Passover. Every firstborn son in Egypt died that night, but the Israelites were saved by the blood of the lamb on their doorposts. God had told them, "When I see blood, I will pass over you." Pharaoh's son died, and at last, Pharaoh let the Israelites go. They quickly gathered their belongings and journeyed away from Egypt. The crossing of the Red Sea. Almost immediately, Pharaoh changed his mind and chased the Israelites with his army towards the Red Sea. By the time he caught up with them, God told Moses to raise his staff, and when he did, the water was split in two. The Israelites were able to walk between two walls of water on dry land with the Egyptians in fierce pursuit. When the Israelites had safely reached the other side, God told Moses to stretch out his hands over the sea, and the water closed over the Egyptians. The Israelites celebrated God's victory over the Egyptians with singing and dancing. The Israelites were safe on the other side, but now they were in the desert with no food or God water. Provides manna and water. The Israelites began complaining to Moses about being hungry. God told Moses that he would give them bread from heaven each day. In the morning, the Israelites gathered fine flakes of bread, called manna, which tasted like honey. In the evening, God sent them quail. The Israelites complained again and said that they were thirsty. Again, Moses asked God what to do. God told Moses to take his staff and strike the rock. As soon as he hit the rock, water flowed out for the people to drink. God had indeed kept his covenant with his people. He freed them from slavery, protected them from death, and gave them manna and water so that they could live while they were in the desert. The book of